I wanted to understand one very important question. What is your reason behind attending this demo? DevOps demo ki enduku attend avutunnaru? What is your reason? I want genuine answers. Don't give me organizational or political answers. I know that. What is your reason behind joining DevOps or attending DevOps? Job only, wonderful. Yes. Any other perspectives? There are some people who might already be working, right? You already have job. So for you, job is not the requirement. Then what? ఏమీ లేదా, క్వాలిటీ థాట్ చెప్తుంది కాబట్టి వచ్చారా? ఓకే, వాట్ ఇస్ ద రీజన్? పెద్ద ఎక్స్పెక్టేషన్స్ లేవనుకుంటా, మిమ్మల్ని సాటిస్ఫై చేయడం చాలా ఈజీ. అయితే వాంటెడ్ టు స్విచ్ టు డెవాప్స్, యా వండర్ఫుల్, బట్ వై? But why? Scope of DevOps is high, job change. All of this translates to what? Job change, scope of job change, enhancing the skills, all of this. They end up and meet at one point. That is our primary requirement. Primary requirement is salary, right? If I say that I'll give you an opportunity of DevOps to work on better technologies and I'll pay you 10 rupees per day, will you work? All right. Okay. So let us start with that perspective, because that is what it is all about. So basically, when you speak of Hyderabad as such, the average Hyderabad salary stands somewhere in between 1 to 1.25 lakhs into years of experience. What do I mean by that statement is, let us assume that you are 5 years experienced software engineer in Hyderabad, irrespective of technology. Your average salary will be somewhere in between 5 to 6.25 lakhs. If you move to Bangalore, which is the highest paid city in India, by all means, the average is 1.25 into 1.5 into years of experience. That is, for a 5 years experience in Bangalore, the salary might be, average salary might be somewhere in between 6.25 lakhs to 7.5 lakhs. Okay. So in quality thought, or in whatever jobs which we got after we started this DevOps journey, the average has been always higher than 2 into years of experience. So for example, if you are a 5 years experience, the average salary over here which we got with our results, I am not speaking about the Indian average and all of that, so approximately 10 lakhs. When I say average, there are people who got way beyond that and there are people who got less than that. Okay. So one thing to always understand is, in India, 90% of the cases, the salary is relative to your, the salary growth is related to your current salary in many organizations. Very few, like Microsoft, Deloitte, some companies where they have bands. So for example, I joined as a senior associate. Before that, my package was 2 lakhs, but in Deloitte, let us assume that the band average is somewhere in between 7 to 11 lakhs. So even if you don't ask, your salary might start from 7. That's the whole, but that is only for few companies. But in all the rest of the companies, your salary is always relative to your current growth, current drawing salary. Fine. I'll come back to the questions of yeah, please get in. So with respect to the work which you are doing, how will DevOps help you? I'll address them at the last. For now, let us understand the important points. Let us understand DevOps. I know that you guys are concerned about your careers, but next araganta, for the next half an hour, don't think about what your position is right now. Just try to I will not be taking any technology stuff, so it is very easy to understand whatever I'm speaking today. Let me ask you some questions and you answer me that. Okay. So based out of it, let us what do you say, establish the need for DevOps. Okay. I'll take few examples. Based out of your answers, I'll try to come to a conclusion of why DevOps is required. Okay. So there are many sites to book bus tickets, right? Many sites. If I want to book bus tickets, there are many sites. What is it you are using? Redbus. Why? Pardon me? What is the reason for using Redbus? Okay, let me ask one more question. There are many sites or applications to book movie tickets. What is that you use? Book My Show. Great. Yeah. Is Paytm not good? Then why Book My Show? Pardon me? Not really. That is still some point. After that, everything is same. Right? That is initially when your app comes, you'll have a lot of cashbacks. But after a certain point, you'll have the same 1+1 HDFC Times Bank, which is valid basically on every stuff. Okay. One more thing. Generally, what is the world's best cab booking app? In India, what is heavily used? Why? Because we like Indianized products, is it? Make in India, is it? By the way, Ola is also not make in India. Whatever it is. Yeah. Yeah, there are many sites which offer these wallets. But what is the most widely used wallet? Paytm. What is the common point of all of these things which I have been speaking about? Pardon me? That's my whole point. Why you have many users there? I don't think so. See how Paytm is more user friendly than Freecharge. Both are same. మనం అంత సెక్యూరిటీ రీజన్స్ వాడితే మన దేశం ఎప్పుడూ అభివృద్ధి చెంది ఇఫ్ we are not really worried about security reasons while booking movie tickets at least, right? What is the other reason? No. Yeah, I got the answer. There is an answer from Ashish where he says that these are all the apps whatever we are speaking about were released first to the market. Redbus was released first to the market when compared to all the other bus tickets which I'm speaking about. Paytm was the first wallet. Book My Show was the first movie ticketing site. Now, from this conclusion, can I just arrive at a statement saying that if your applications are released faster, you will have a better chance of market capture? Yes or no? Yes. Very few applications take an exclusion. For example, in India recently, what we have seen is Amazon has overtaken Flipkart. But that was a very painful job for Amazon, but they had done it. It is very difficult. But in many cases, the person or the company who releases the applications faster to the market have an advantage. Do you agree to that now? Yeah, that is why you and me are paid in DevOps. So what is our primary job responsibility? Ensure applications are delivered faster than what they are doing right now. Whatever we learn in DevOps, the whole intention is that. That's the whole reason why companies pay for DevOps. Are we clear on this now? Yes. So DevOps, if you Google for DevOps, you will find many definitions. Many definitions. But you read any definition, it will have two common points. One is time to market, reducing time to market. That is what we have spoken about till now. Reducing time to market. And the second one is business value. For achieving this time to market, you should not basically shell out too much of cost for your organization, cost or burden for your organization. So how do you release products faster to the market? Okay, with less cost. That is the whole stuff of DevOps. In DevOps, you will not be doing anything any other areas apart from these two. Any work which you do is concerned about these 2 points. You are reducing time to market, and in doing that, you are also reducing costs. So, for example, my company used to use a monitoring tool which was very costly. Now I'm moving it to an open source monitoring tool. Why? Because I don't want to pay license costs. So any work which you do in DevOps is these 2 points. ఈ 2 పాయింట్లు బయట apart from these 2 points, you will not have any other single work. That's what the whole DevOps is, right? And one more thing, we use Amazon, right? Especially Prime Days now, yeah, and Facebook.com. Have you ever seen anything like we are doing scheduled maintenance of Amazon? So from today 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock, the site will not be accessible. we regret the inconvenience. Have you ever seen something like this? That on Amazon, yeah, those kind of messages I'm quite sure you might have seen a lot. But on Amazon, have you seen that? Okay. On Facebook, no. Okay. So does it mean that these guys are not writing code or not updating the applications? They update very often. Okay. So, and one question before I jump into conclusions. Do you all agree that to build such applications, there needs to be some sort of coding that has to happen? Yes. So developers write code whether it is Facebook or Amazon. So what is the time do you think that it is taken for them to release to the market? Developer has written the code, everything is good. Now after that there is certain processes that happen, right? Testing and all of that. So what is the typical time you think that it will take to basically deploy it to production? What is happening in your company right now? Weeks, days, months? Yeah. Facebook does it in 1 hour and Amazon is doing it in 1.5 hours. Facebook developer writes the code, it is in production in 1.5 hours. So that's how strong their DevOps is, right? And you will never see a downtime, never. That's how their process is. All of the organizations eventually want to end up here. Yeah, I'm not saying that it is possible after this course. After this course, I'll give you a magical stick. Just go and touch it onto your system, and you will be delivery pipeline will be automated. Not happening. No, but if your delivery time or time to market has not reduced, no matter whatever tools you use, you are not doing DevOps. Let us assume that you are using something called as Ansible. Before Ansible, your delivery time was 3 days. After Ansible also it is 3 days. You are just using a tool. You cannot call that you are using DevOps, right? So that's the whole objective of all of this, right? So is the context right now? So why are we doing DevOps? We do DevOps because we want to reduce time to market, and in achieving that, we don't want to shell out too much money. That's the whole point. Good. Now, what is that our scope of work is? Yeah, we have to do all of this. We have to reduce time to market, but typically, what will our work look like? Right? So let us try to understand something called as very important aspect called as pipeline, or to be more specific, delivery pipeline. Right? Because we'll be working only in there. Our scope of work is only this diagram, nothing beyond this. Okay. So all of the work starts from development. I'm not speaking about requirement phase, requirement design. I'm not getting into all of that. Let us start into reality. Developer writes the code. Let me list out the points first. Then we'll go for a block diagram. Okay. Writes code. Done. And after that, code is written on his system or on every system? Only on his system. But will there be only one developer in the team? No. So he has to store or send code to common location. We'll come back to what these things are technically. Today I'm trying to write words so that there is no technicality in that. Okay. I have written the code and I want you to see it. So I'll put it in a common place where you can also have an access. Right? Yes. So writing code, will it give quality? We have to measure the quality of it, right? So quality measures. Okay. Here, first we will measure the quality of the code itself. How was the code written? Is there any better way to write the code? Okay. So I'll call it as review. Okay. And next, our testing team will come into play. They will test the functionality aspects of it, performance aspects of it, or all the other aspects of whatever is required by your customer. Done. Good. So I'm just writing these 2 points. So our code is written. These things are done. It is quality. The quality is good now. What is the next step? Okay. So basically, we have to ensure that this is in an area where you can give it to your customers. All right. So for example, to give it to the customers, will I give code? I'll give him probably some URL or some sort of executable to run on, right? So do I need to do something called as packaging in whatever format which you want? For example, I'm quite sure that you might have installed Google Chrome on your system. The packaging format in that case is an exe, which you double click and everything starts working, right? For some websites, it might be a zip file. In some cases, irrespective of the language which you write, you will be doing this packaging activity, right? Okay. So, and after this, our testing is still not done. Okay. So that is the testing only to the point whatever you have written code. Then our testers will do something called as system testing. System testing is testing all the features of the system, right? So that testing was with respect to the code whatever you have written. No, now I'll call it as. So for testing this system, you need a setup, right? You need already installed machine and all of that stuff. So here we need to prepare environment for testing. Yes or no? Yeah. When everything goes good over here, okay, then we will probably give it to, or I'll call it as production. Production is basically a system on which your customers are using it, or systems on which your customers are using it. Then you will prepare environment for production. Simple. This is what we do. No matter whatever technology you are working on, let it be Java, .NET, Python, irrespective of all the languages, this is what these cases. And apart from writing code and writing test cases, we do the rest. We will not write test cases, we will not write code, but we will ensure that all of these are done. So your job will be in one of this area. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. And now, apart from this, for doing this, we have lot of servers, right? Do you agree to that? For achieving these kind of activities, we will use lot of systems. And now, if some of the system is not working, we should know, or we should get an alert, right? Yeah. So for that, we will also add something called as, okay, first monitoring is just for systems. Now, it's not only systems. Your applications also might not work sometime. System is good, but applications are not working. So we might also end up doing application monitoring. This is your scope. Completely non-technically, if I have to define DevOps, what is that you do? You do your activity, or a day in your office might be doing one of them. Make sense? Yes? Okay. Now let me put this in an organized block format. Okay. And then I will call it as delivery pipeline. I'll call it as what? Dine delivery pipeline. So I'll call this thing as delivery pipeline. Yeah. So DevOps definition is automating delivery pipeline. That's it. The whole definition of DevOps is you want to automate this delivery pipeline. Okay. So let me start it from here. Okay. Before I do it, let me define the terminologies over here itself. Writing the code and storing it in a common location. Here we use something called as version control systems. This is the point where we define that system which is responsible for storing the code in common location and ensuring that all the developers have the same version or same copy of the code. We use something called as version control system, right? And here quality measures, review. I am not speaking about manual review. Manual review has to be done. That there is no doubt about it. But we will do a review which is can be done by any software. So that I will call it as static code analysis. These are technical terms for that. So don't worry if you even if you don't understand it today. It takes a journey for us to know all of these terms. So static code analysis. And now here testing. Here we do not do any kind of testing, but we need executions and results over here. So when I say testing, testing could be JMeter, Selenium, RPA. We are not worried about tools. The only thing which you need to know is how do I execute them and how do I get reports. Yeah. And now when I want to package in some languages I need to compile the code also and then package. For compiling the code and packaging, there might be many different tools to work on. For example, Java will have altogether a different set of tools. .NET will have different set of tools. If your company is using Node.js, you will have different set of tools. So here what we would learn is how to compile and package the codes, and here we will be exploring some of the build tools. For example, we will be discussing about Maven, we will be discussing about MS Build, something like that. Okay, fine. And then preparing system for testing. Let me come back over here. This is a very important point. Now, when I say I'm preparing a system for testing, let us assume that all of us are belonging to one company and we are developing a e-commerce application. So how will the system environment look like? We will need a server which can host a website. Do you all agree to that? For any server to host a website, we need something called as web server. We need something called as web server. Since it is an e-commerce application, it might have a database also. It will have a database also. And apart from that, it might have some middleware components, whatever it is. Whatever is required for your application to run. Okay. We have to ensure that all of them are ready on this machine. Okay. So for example, if I say that I want to run a Java application. Yes. I want to run the Java application. Your company has developed Java application and I want to run it. What is the minimum requirement for you to be done on that machine? You have to just ensure Java is installed on that machine. Otherwise, your application is not going to work. For example, you have written .NET application. You have to ensure .NET is installed. Something like that. These are the areas which we will need to prepare. When I am saying preparing the environment, that is what I am speaking about. Okay. So preparing the environment for testing, I will call it as twofold areas. The first one which I am doing is I am assuming server is already present. For the environment where we are give to the testing, the server is already present. And the server already undi. Operating system is installed. Server is present. Operating system is installed, and you have to just configure that system so that your application can run there. Yes. So OS is ready, system is ready, and now you are trying to basically do rest of the stuff for your application. This I will call it as configuration management. Simple. So for the configuration management to start, you should have a system with an operating system. You cannot expect configuration management to work if the OS is not present or if the system is not present. Now, there could be other case that you have to create the OS and you have to go with creating the servers also. Okay. But remember, I'm speaking about virtual world. I'm not speaking about physical servers. So in that case, we do something called as infra provisioning and then configuration management, or just configuration management, depending on what your company has. Simple. Yeah. And the best part is, even when you want to prepare the production environments, you can use the same scripts. Even when you want to do the production environment, because you are doing the same thing. The way of installing your application doesn't change if it is a test server or a production server. Yes or no? Server might be different. On a production, your server might be a beast. Server might be too good with decent amount of RAM and all of that. But the steps which you follow to get your application up is exactly the same. So that's why we'll be using the same scripts over here. But okay, this is in your office. This is on your production servers. Making sense? So we have configuration management and we have infra provisioning. What is the difference? Infra provisioning speaks about creating virtual machines or creating the environments, and configuration management is all about tuning your environment so that it fits your application. Fine. Okay. So now let me draw all of them in a block diagram, and then I'll define what are the tools that will help us in achieving all of this. Right? Okay. So first, I'll start from something called as version control system. We are not worried what developer does. Developer does the work and he stores it over here. He sends the code over here. The moment he sends the code to here, your and my job starts. What is the basic trigger point for us? The developer committing the code. And now, after developer commits the code, what has to happen? We have to build the code. We have to build or compile the code, right? Execute the test cases, all right? show the test results, and then package the application. Yes or no? These were the points which I have written in that notepad. So let me draw a box over here where I would say compile, test, but this test I'm calling it as, because I'm worried not about the complete application, I'm worried about what developer has written, right? That is a unit test. And then I want to package my application. So build, first is we'll have version control system, and then from that version control system we take, basically we do compile and unit testing. And this, by the way, is irrespective of the language, whether your technology is Java, whether your technology is .NET, JavaScript, any, you name the language, this don't change. Okay, fine. And after this you package the application, and then you need to do something like Selenium or automation running, right? So for that, okay, this is the point where you do something called as, what is CM? Configuration management. Okay, if the server is not ready, you might do infra provisioning and configuration management, but I am writing it as configuration management because I think we understood the difference, right? And now after this we will execute system test, right? And once system tests are executed, then we will take it forward and we will deploy it onto production. Simple. I've oversimplified this, I know that, but that's fine. For the day one, this is more than enough. Okay, it's okay. Production. Simple. Yeah. So these are the activities which we have to do. The next question is, who does it? Okay. If you and me are sitting and triggering this, that is not called as automated. Do you agree to that? If you and me sit in front of the system, okay, developer has committed the code, let me now do something. That I don't call it as automation. So we need some system which will listen to version control system, and when something happens on version control system which we are interested in, it should start this. Yes or no? Yeah. One way is do manually, but when you're doing manually, it is not going to reduce your time to market, right? It is not going to reduce your business value because you need 24/7 resources, which is not that sensible, right? So a system which is responsible for listening to version control system and triggering this, okay, triggering this till this point, only till this point, okay, is generally called as CI. What is it? CI. When I say CI, it is continuous integration. So continuous integration might vary from organization to organization. It might not be necessarily that every time developer commits, do this job. Sometimes your company's build process might be very time consuming. So they might say that every 2 hours we'll have one build cycle, or every 3 hours we'll have one build cycle. That's how your organizations decide. So from version control system, we take the code, we compile the code, we unit test the code, and then we package the code. Remember, when I have said compile and unit test, I am also running static code analysis, which is code review, and I'm getting all the reports. So when I'm doing this for every 2 hours, what happens? The quality or the feedback of my product, whatever has been developing, will be known to everyone. That's the whole point, right? So if you know software development life cycle, basically there is one strong saying that the the faster you find the bug, the cheaper it is. So for example, you find the bug in the requirements phase, that is a much cheaper. You might have learned this in your graduation. Then you go to the design phase, better. Okay, and development phase, okay. Testing, not so good. To the market, once it has been delivered to the market and you find a bug, that is the most costlier option. So what is happening over here is we are giving something called as early feedback to our developers. What is that we are giving? Early feedback. so that if there is anything to be corrected, these guys can work on it. And your systems are building the code almost all the time, so that's why we call it as continuous integration. Fine. Okay, now there is one more continuous. Whenever you do till, okay, so let us assume that whenever you are doing till this point, let me use filler. So you're doing all of these steps. So all the stuff in orange. Okay, so you're doing continuous integration, plus you are preparing the environments, and in that environment you are doing configuration management, so so basically your application is being tested till system. Okay, all of this orange stuff are in your office itself, are in your office itself, or in your environment itself. So this is called as CD, which is continuous delivery. Okay, sorry, delivery. Fine. Now, when developer commits the code you have done till the system test, we call it as continuous delivery. When developer commits the code, what you have done is you have done system test, and also you have deployed it to the production. Then we call it as that's the difference between delivery and deployment. Delivery is only till your system testing areas, till your staging servers, all of that. But if you are going to the production, we call it as deployment. So we have three important continuous lines over here. One is integration, which is till packaging. Okay, and then we have delivery, which is still within your office you are setting up all the servers, right? And then the last D is deployment, which is all about production, so whenever you are saying that I am doing continuous deployment, you are speaking about I am deploying the code directly from the code that is written in my version control system to basically production server. That's the whole point. Looking good? Yeah, this will be more elaborated. Today I have tried to be simple. I have to add something called as static code analysis over here, many other terminologies over here, but on day one I don't mind even if our block is not completely right, because we will have more blocks. But actually I've just tried to put the high level concept. So this you can think of a delivery pipeline from a 5,000 feet overview. We have to still get down 5,000 steps, and then you will get the actual picture. Fine, making sense? Good. Now in this, let me just tell you what are the different tools which we use for achieving what are the steps, and then I'll take your questions. All right? Okay. So, version control system. So here we will be looking at tools like Git, or not tools like only tool Git, because that is most widely used, right? And I don't. Every organization is trying to come to this because of its simplicity. So we'll be discussing Git over here. Now, when you do compile and unit testing, we'll be learning tools like, I've written them already: MVN, MS Build, okay, and then SonarQube. Yeah, SonarQube is for that static code review, a tool doing a code review for you. That is where SonarQube will come into play. Good. And now, when it comes to packaging, MVN also can do the packaging. So I'm not writing MVN again over here redundantly. Here, basically MS Build can do the packaging. That's all fine. But here, the packages, where do we store? Where do we store those packages so that we can re-get that? So that's where we learn something called as okay. Artifactory is a store for storing whatever you have built, because you build 2 hours a day. Where will you store them? Where will you store them? And where will you get them back? So that's where we use Artifactory. Okay. So next is configuration management, and here we learn three things. One is Chef, the other one is Ansible, and the other one which I've added quite recently is PowerShell DSC. PowerShell DSC is more Windows specific. Yeah. So this is what we would learn. Okay. And then the area which I have not written over here is infra provisioning, and for infra provisioning we'll be learning something called as Packer and Terraform. Okay, and while you are packaging your application, we learn basically something called as Docker images over here. So how to write Docker images, yeah, and for your system testing or configuration management, right, where we need to have set up the environment, you can go with CM tools, or if your company has decided to go to the Docker, we'll be using something called as Kubernetes. Kubernetes is not a configuration management tool, by the way, but Kubernetes, there is no need for you to do configuration management. You just need the system, and then Kubernetes can take care of all of the stuff. Okay, so we will have Kubernetes, which I am calling it as orchestration. We have many things to learn, man, because there are these, and by the way, most of our tools are open source, can be used at zero cost to your organization, apart from Chef. Chef has the enterprise version, open source version is not so popular. Apart from Chef, all the other tools which we discuss are completely open source and zero cost to your organization. Okay, fine. And now, so this is where I'll bring in infra provisioning. Okay, or Kubernetes, or infra provisioning, or, and I'll write and Kubernetes, or configuration management. All right. Deployment also, your stuff doesn't change, it is the same thing, but for deployment you can go ahead with extra set of tools. Doesn't matter, your script is same. Okay, deployment చేసేటప్పుడు కాల్ చేసే టూల్ మారచ్చు. When we are doing deployment, the tool which calls this deployment might be different, but what it does is our configuration management or infra provisioning. That's it. So this is all of our journey, and apart from this we need to do monitoring, and I have said two kinds of monitorings. What are they? One is system monitoring, the other one is application monitoring. Okay, when I say application monitoring, I'll be doing something, we'll be learning something called as Elastic Stack. Okay, which is Elasticsearch, Logstash, Kibana, and Beats. And then for system monitoring we'll be learning something called as Nagios. So this is our journey throughout. Okay, and now before I take questions, basically whenever we do this DevOps, we do DevOps more towards agile projects, right? DevOps makes more sense when you are working in agile. Okay, so you will have agile discussions, and apart from this you will also have something called as Linux classes, right? And for the benefit of the people who want to learn Python, there are Python core classes which are also happening, which will happen over here, and that is all included in whatever we are committed to. Okay, and one more thing which I want to clarify, I'll just tell you the frequently asked questions and answers so that you can ask the rest. I don't know single line of how to write the code. Will this course help me? You don't need to write any code here. Okay, I am not expecting a programming language from you, I am expecting a programming knowledge from you. I don't want to start from a point where I will say what is the if loop, what is the for loop. I will not start from that. If you have a basic idea of what if does, what for does, what while does, that is enough, because that is the most complicated script. మీరు DevOps లో అద్భుతం చేయాలని మీకు అనిపిస్తే ఒక ఫర్ లూప్ రాస్తారు, అంతకు మించి అద్భుతాలు ఏం చేయరు, right? Yeah, so we will not be using any coding language. I don't expect you to know any coding language, but remember, we might speak multiple languages because the work which we are doing involves technology. Your company might be developing Java, your company might be developing in .NET, your company might be developing in Python, so you need to know the stuff. When I say you need to know the stuff, I don't mean coding, I mean to know some of the saints who sit beside or behind or within the tree scope, they get some divine powers, right? We don't get that. We are not that divine. So for we have to spend out some effort. So have the habit of having cheat sheets, because you cannot remember all the command lines. By looking at the scope of the tools, there are many command lines that will come into play. So no point. So when I'm working on Jenkins, I'll have Jenkins cheat sheet. When I'm working on Docker, I'll have a Docker cheat sheet. When I'm working on Kubernetes, I'll have a Kubernetes cheat sheet. After you work for 6 months, then you get comfortable with commands. It will not be in a day. So don't expect that. I can somehow manage. Guys, at which point have I stopped? You guys have, what was it that I was trying to tell you when the connection has lost? Pardon me? Oh, guys, I'm audible to you right now? మీకు ఆబ్వియస్గా ఉంటారండి, లేదంటే నాలో లోపం ఉన్నట్టు. యా, ఓకే. So what I do is that I was trying to speak about frequently asked questions. I know some of you have missed, but I'll take some questions. Pardon me. I didn't got the. You have started to take a discussion. Okay, okay, fine. So I'll take the questions then. In that case, I don't want to reiterate some of the one last frequently question is, I don't belong to IT. I am from a different domain. I'm electronics. I'm a chemistry student. I'm a commerce student. Can I do it? It is all based out of your interest. Okay. And any freshers around? Freshers, 2017 passed outs. 17, 17 or 18? 17. Yes. So if you are a 17 passed out, I would recommend you joining a cloud course rather than DevOps course. That's my recommendation, right? So I think I've answered all the frequently asked questions. One is, I don't know coding, not a problem. I don't know Linux, not a problem, right? And the third one is, I am a DBA, right? So you have to expand your horizons to other areas. Same thing for middleware engineers. Linux administrators, you don't have an option. You have to come here. Linux and Windows, you don't have a choice, right? Fine. Yeah, please go ahead. Now I want to take questions from you guys. You can ask anything that you have in your mind. Okay, I'll try to answer as many as I can. Yeah, I have a question. Can I ask? I am a DBA. Please go ahead. Jenkins, Jayanti Jain, can you just tell what you basically Jenkins and question mark? I will not be able to make out a question. Can if you can type it, I'll think I'll be able to. Okay. In the meantime, classroom. Since these guys have to type the questions. Any other questions? Oh, is it? Okay. So when I say CI, I'm speaking about Jenkins. Our all of the work starts from Jenkins, right? So in CI, there are many continuous integration tools. I'm sorry, I might have missed that. So continuous integration tools, there are many tools like Jenkins, there is Travis CI, there is TeamCity and all of that, but we'll be covering Jenkins. So all of this work will be demonstrating using Jenkins. That's where we would look into. Okay. With 9 years of experience in is it a right thing that I have to move to AWS, or now I see DBA market is shrinking? You have to. That's the whole point which I was speaking in frequently asked questions. So basically, most of the administrative work which DBS is used to do is heavily automated. Even yesterday itself, I was showing to some of our students in Azure class. Okay. So I have set up the replication, 2 minutes, right? Synchronize the database, 2 more minutes. But you ask DBAs, that's the most difficult job, because synchronization takes lot of knowledge to be done. But now I don't have any knowledge. I just take two databases and I'll just click them. Okay, so that's how it is. So you have to expand your origins. So for example, for the people from DBA and middleware, I'm sorry, you don't stop thinking only about DBA and middleware. Think about many other things. Think about the other areas also, right? Okay. Do you teach salt stack? No. Salt stack fits in configuration management. I am not teaching salt stack because we have taken high job providing 3 configuration management tools, and I don't want to add one of them more. Okay. The course is in sync with job markets. So our course basically changes every time, and it changes because of the job needs. Okay, I don't do specifics, but it changes based out of the stuff. For example, when we started, we didn't have Ansible. We used to have Chef and Puppet. Removed Puppet because of its slide. Added Ansible. Added Terraform and Packer. Recently I've added WinDevOps. So that's what I do. And one thing which I do generally is, whenever I change this content, right, all of the students who have been part of DevOps from day one will get a notification saying that this is what we are doing. If you're interested, you can come and join. That's the process which we follow at Quality Thought, right? Now obviously I will be moving as DevOps architect rather than developer. Yes. Yeah. So basically, based out of what 10 years of background, yeah, you can call yourself as an architect. Nothing wrong in that, but my perception around that is, at least you should be good at some other tools. CI you should be very good at. Docker and Kubernetes you should be very good at, and one configuration management tool. That those three you require a hands-on experience, even though if you want to call yourself as an architect. Focus on these three areas. Very much required. Okay. Docker and Kubernetes are also covered. Yes. Those days are gone when people are insecure about open sources, because for example, how these open sources operate these days is, for example, we have Jenkins is a free tool, but if your company doesn't want to take that move, there is an organization called as Cloudbees who give enterprise support for that open source product, so they can go with that. So any product which I'm speaking, for example, Docker has a community edition and also an enterprise edition, so they have enterprise editions. Best option is go with open source, but if your company is very much on SLAs and all of that, you still have enterprise products for. Yes, that's the nature of. Yeah, you have tower version of it, but yeah, when I say Ansible works in a different way. So basically, Ansible orchestration is paid. So yeah, it's okay. Yes. Sir, you can go through our syllabus. I think I've put. I generally don't miss my contents. I have a habit of adding to whatever I've written over there. Okay, so we get the hold of basically the course plan. Okay, for the question which is being asked, Python will be included. I said core Python is included, but Python is not required for DevOps. Okay, do you know when do you require Python? You are writing wonderful shell scripts. You are very good at that. Now you want to make a next move in your career. Convert all of those shell scripts, okay, into Python scripts. That's it. In DevOps, in all of the areas which we are doing right now, yeah, if you have Python, it might be good because you might get more interview calls. But what is the practicality of applying that? Not really. Not really. So using Ansible doesn't require Python. For example, using Ansible doesn't require Python. The only Python that is required is you should know how to install Python on your system, and that is something which anyone can do. But if you want to write something in Ansible, for example, you want to create something like Ansible, then you need Python. We are not creating creators, we are users here. So yeah, it is good to have a programming knowledge. I don't mind that, but remember, it is not a requirement. మీకు సరదాగా ఉంటే నేర్చుకోండి, ఖచ్చితంగా అవసరం కాబట్టి అవసరం. Because some companies, I have seen some postings from the organization saying that we are looking for a DevOps engineer who is very good in C++, Python or Ruby. First of all, if the person is good in all of this, he will not be doing DevOps. He'll be doing development, right? So companies ask. So for example, ఇప్పుడు మీరు ఇంట్లో పని మనిషి కావాలి. So you need a maid at your home. So how will you post your requirement? I need a maid who works for 2 hours a day and just finishes her work fastly. Will this be your requirement? Or I need a maid who is pretty, does the work decently, right? And she should know cooking because sometimes my parents might go out. All of that. You will write hell lot of requirements. But what is the reality? You need her to just clean off your floors, right? Wash off your basins. That's it. But what you ask for? That's the whole point. So you will not be a fit for all the positions in DevOps. Remember that. If you are being fit for more than 50% of what is being asked in any job site, you are really good with your profile in any technology. No matter whatever technology which you are working on, you will not be fit for all the positions. You'll be fit for more than 50% of the positions. And my conscious call always is our syllabus should cover 70%. That's what I'll be looking at every time. So anything moving in the job world, I will be the first person to react. So you need not worry about that, right? Fine. Okay. 10 plus years of experience. What is the role outcome of this course with real-time projects? You will be able to implement DevOps. You will be able to implement DevOps in your project. That's what I can assure you after basically finishing this course. All right. Let it be Windows or let it be Linux. Initially, our course was more towards Linux. Now we have added some Windows content also, because Windows servers are. There is one more content which I'll be adding very soon, probably in next 4 or 5 months, which is called as database DevOps. This is especially for DBAs. Now even database can be version controlled. Okay. So that is the next 3 to 4 months stuff. Okay, because I have to do enough research. The tools are quite new, not very stable. The moment they become stable, we'll have some content in our syllabus. So that's how it is. We have to learn. But remember, doctors take a oath, right? What is that called as? I don't know the technical name for it. Yeah. So something which basically they take a oath saying that they will be doing with medication for anyone or who is in emergency or whatever it is, right? So do you know what is the oath for IT people? You have to update always, otherwise you will become extinct. That's a reality, hard reality of life. Yeah. So remember, another question which people tend to ask to me is, okay, there was SAP market which was at a hype, it has gone away now. DevOps is also like, is it like SAP? My answer could be DevOps will not be like SAP, but Ansible could be, Chef could be, because tomorrow there might be a better tool than Ansible or Chef that comes and does the same job very efficiently. So DevOps is not going to become extinct. The tools which we use in DevOps, there might be better tools. So you have to learn throughout your career, right? And in which Quality Thought can help you. If we are updating anything, we'll keep you notified. All right? Fine.